Join me as we create a pipeline from scratch in Azure Synapse. We're going to connect to an API and move that data into our data warehouse. So whether you're an aspiring data engineer or have been in the role for many years, you're going to want to watch this. I'm Chris Gamble, and welcome to our channel where we provide demos, tutorials, and advice to aspiring data engineers. So we're excited today to talk about APIs, pipelines, and Azure Synapse. What parts of the API do we need to get started? First, we need the root URL for the API. We need the authentication type that we're going to need in order to hit the API. And finally, we're going to need our relative URL in order to get the specific data that we need from that API. The API that we'll be using today is the CoinGecko API. This API holds cryptocurrency data, so it should be pretty interesting as we look at the data. For this API, we will need an API key, but know that each API is slightly different in how you obtain authentication, what type of authentication is needed, and how you get that information. However, everything that you should need to know to obtain authentication to hit the API should be in the API documentation. So this is Azure Synapse. To begin with, we need to create a linked connection to our API that we'll be using today. So we'll go down to Manage, click on Link Services, New, and then in the new link service, we're going to search for REST API. We'll see REST, hit Continue. We'll name our link service appropriately. So in this case, we'll call it CoinGecko. In the description, we'll put in here that we're pulling cryptocurrency data. We'll leave it at auto-resolve integration runtime. For the base URL, we'll type in https api.coingecko.com/API/v3 and slash. For our authentication type, anonymous. Auth headers, we will be adding XCG demo API key. In our value, we're going to enter in our API key. We're going to hit test connection. Should come back successful. We're going to hit create. So that creates our new API link connection to CoinGecko. You'll also need to make sure that you have a link set up to your data warehouse. In this case, you'll see that I do have a link set up to our Azure SQL database. We'll need to create a data set as well. So we're going to go to Data. We're going to go to Linked, Integration Datasets. You click on the ellipsis. I'm going to add a new folder here for CoinGecko for APIs. We're going to click on the ellipsis, click on New Dataset. We're going to type in REST again. You can double click on that. REST resource. It's going to be CoinGecko API. Our link service. We're going to see CoinGecko. We're going to hit OK. Now you see that we have a relative URL to enter here. I'm going to show you how to make this dynamic. So if you put in a relative API here, you have to create a separate data set for each one of your different connectors that you may need. If you put in a parameter for your relative URL, then here you can click on Add Dynamic Content. You'll see your parameter that you created. You'll click on that. You'll see it say at dataset dot, and then the name of your parameter you created. Hit OK. And what this does is it enables you to use this dataset connector over and over again for different APIs within that API group for CoinGecko. We're going to publish that. When we hit publish, you'll see that it is creating our CoinGecko API along with a key vault that I created earlier. We'll hit publish. The next step is we're going to create our pipeline finally. So very easily, you see an icon that looks like a pipe. It's called integrate. We'll click on that. Up at the top, Beside where the big word integrate is, you'll see a plus sign for new resource, and you'll click on pipeline. Here, you'll see our properties tab come up. We're going to name our pipeline CoinGecko Data. And for our description, we're going to say cryptocurrency market data. That takes care of our documentation. Again, remember, documentation is very important in data engineering. From here, we're going to type in copy. And you'll see that the copy data task comes up. You click and drag it into the body of your pipeline. We'll name our task appropriately. Call it CoinGecko Market Data. You actually can have spaces in the name of your tasks. Add a description. We'll leave it at activated. You can deactivate individual tasks within your pipeline. Under source, for the source data set, we're going to choose our CoinGecko API. Our relative URL is going to be coins markets. And we have a parameter for the currency that we have to add for this specific URL. And the currency that we're going to be looking for is US dollars. So we'll put in USD. The request method type is GET because we are retrieving data. And then for our sync, we're going to choose our Azure SQL table. For our schema, we're going to say staging. And for our table, we're going to say CoinGecko market data. So this is an important piece here as well. I pause my database in my data warehouse in between usage so that it doesn't run up my bill for Azure. Leaving it on incurs charges, and so I pause it in between use. So if you do have an individual account that you're using for training, then be sure that you pause it as needed, and then you can go in and resume it when you're going to be using the database. Now from there, the next step is going to be to go over to our data warehouse and create a new table. And you do that by going over to Data, Workspace. You'll see your SQL database here. Expand your database, right click on Tables, New SQL Script, New Table. It will come up with some base information here. So in today's case, we're going to say staging dot. We could just actually copy and paste this from here. Then we're going to put in our field names, our data types, and whether they're defined as null or not null. Right now, because we're not familiar with the data, we're going to call everything nullable. We're going to run that. There'll be no results to show because we're not returning anything in the query, but you will see that the execution was successful with a total execution time of just over 1 second. So now that we have the table created, we could go through, refresh our mapping, hit import schemas. It will pull in all of our schema information. All right, so once you get everything set up, you could hit your debug. It'll start running. You'll see that the activity status will come up as queued. You'll see that it does auto refresh every 20 seconds for 5 minutes. You can click refresh manually if it does take more than 5 minutes, or if you're impatient and don't want to wait 20 seconds for it to refresh. Like me, you could hit refresh. You'll see that it succeeded. There's some options here. You could see, they click on the glasses and it'll show you how many different objects were read, different API objects that were read, number of rows that were written, and provide you with some of that base information. You could come over to your database, click on new SQL script, empty script. So select all from staging.CoinGecko market data, hit run, and you'll see that we now have IDs and symbols and names and some URLs for the images for that specific cryptocurrency type, what the current price is, what the market cap is, and other various details about the cryptocurrency items that we pulled. And so now you too can pull data from an API into a data warehouse. Go out and practice on your own. You can find links for the information that we went over and creating your own free Azure account with a $200 credit for 30 days in the description of the video. Please share your feedback and questions in the comments below. Please click like and subscribe. Again, I'm Chris Gamble with Gamble Data Engineering, and you just had fun with data.